Good evening. Got two hands to go through. Both hands I'm going to cut off. Both hands I get all in. I believe on the flop. Definitely we're all in before the river. Also, I'm going to be using Flopzilla Pro, so we will see how this goes. Alright, so I had pocket sixes. This is a 4NL game. We get this villain. Opens at 3 big blinds. He's playing 24-24 with 25 3 bet percentage, so he is playing looser but also aggressive. His raise first in is 25%, so he is definitely, he's technically, let's see, mid position, so 29%. If we set up a range, just 30% looking like that, I could probably tighten it up a little bit. Maybe give some of those. That's 28%. Get added in pocket twos. Maybe it's all kings. Maybe he's going to be a little bit tighter. And out of 25 hands, it's just kind of tough to estimate what the ranges are. So let's do something a little bit tighter. 26. About 26%. I have sixes, 6 of clubs, 6 of spades. So right now we're looking at, to here, we will add my range, which is sixes, I guess. Oh, we've got sixes, so those are dead. Alright, so I switch it. Let's just do single player mode. Kind of go back to what we were doing. So you can see that my hands about 50% to win, 51% equity when we count for ties. Calling, I think, is okay. We could have position, however, with a wider range like this, it's probably going to be a little bit better to go ahead and 3-bet here. This guy's 38-9. He calls 33% of the time. This guy's 32-4. I think if we call here, he's, we're going to get one, maybe both of these players to call. This player's pretty tight, so you can't really consider him. So with a lot of hands that we want to play, we probably should come in with the 3-bet to challenge this guy. Is sixes one of those? Probably not. You could definitely use it, but probably not. I do want to point out that I have 25.5 big blind, so I started at 28, so I am definitely a short stack. Should I be calling here with that short stack? Probably not, so I don't even have 10 big blinds behind. That's the effective stack. I'm probably not getting the odds to set mine, so I think with this hand, I probably should just either raise or fold. I think that's our play. And the raise is to try to pick up the pot, pre-flop. So the flop comes down actually pretty favorable for us. So it's 9 of hearts and then 5-4 spades. You can see that we figure to be ahead 52% of the time versus his entire range. He's going to fire out a bet, and he's firing out a larger than pot bet. Now the question is, what does that tell us about his hand? So right now he c-bets 100% of the time, 3 out of 3 when he's out of position, 1 out of 1 when he's in position. He probably c-bets his entire range. So, and even if he's not doing his entire range, he's probably c-betting with any decent draw. So we can kind of say he's at least c-betting 58% of the time. So that is all of our flush draws, open-ended straight draws, gut shot draws, any pair, 2-card backdoor flush draws. Maybe it's just overcards. I mean, we're looking at 67.9% of the hand, right? So huge percentage of the time, and our equity is 43%. Now, if I raise here, what hands is he going to call with? He's probably going to call with a lot of these, just because the pots are going to be so big. Do I think he's going to call with the pocket pair? You know, pocket pair below the board? Probably not. I mean, you're talking about twos and threes. Is he looking at bottom pair? Probably not. Is he looking at middle pair? Probably not. Is it one of these middle pocket pairs? Sixes, sevens, eights? Probably not. I do think top pair is going to be calling here. Hold on. Get it. I have the wrong. It's a nine of hearts. Let's fix that again. So overcards, yeah, we're at 58%. So when I think if I bet, he might call with the sixes, sevens, and eights because it's a gut shot. He's probably calling flush draw, open and straight draw, gut shots. Probably, maybe we'll take those out though. Overcards. He's got a big stack. It's gonna not much more for him to call, so he'll probably call. So if I raise here, and he calls, I'm at 51%. I think that's okay. I did raise, I shoved all in, and he called. So I kind of think I'm hoping he has some of these draws, and he doesn't have one of these big hands. May also possibly overcards if he's gonna call those. And then the board runs out king four, and he shows eights. So it is, I think, kind of one of those, that pocket pair below the top card, six, seven, eights, kind of makes sense. He's trying to get folds. He's trying to get folds from the overcards, and he overbets the pots to do that. We had sixes. I think what we can do is just kind of take a note on this player, and then next time we play him and he does something similar, we have an idea that he's probably hoping to get a fold, so he has at least a weaker pair. Did I have it in his range? Yeah, I did. We had it in his range, and actually, I think we could have probably narrowed it down. So, like, would a set bet that much? Probably not. Would two pair do that? Probably not. Would an over pair do that? Maybe tens or jacks, but probably not queens, kings, or aces. So we can kind of narrow it down, I think, based on that play. All right, so this is hand number one. Let me get things closed out and get hand number two. All right, hand number two is 7-6 of diamonds. So we have this villain. He's playing 19-7 over 28 hands. So he's going to have a tighter range. Early position, he's playing 50%, 2 out of 4. It's entirely possible that he has just been getting decent hands. So I think with his range, we're going to probably go with a tighter type of range. It's 9%. He's played 50% of his hands, and it is possible that he has gotten some of those. So I think 10% is probably about right for a pre-flop raise range. We have 7-6 of diamonds. We're going to be 32%. Am I okay with the call? Well, you can see that with our call, we are behind basically his entire range. We're just basically calling to set mind. I'm sorry, calling, hoping for a favorable flop. Now against this unknown, we don't know what he's going to do with his c-bets, so I think we can call it if c-bet is high on the flop and then really low on the turn. So that kind of means he's going to c-bet a lot on the flop, and then going to become more truthful with the c-bets on the turn. So if he checks the turn, then we could probably bet and pick up the pot. Same, another stat that we're looking at would be c-bet. Perhaps the c-bet flop is pretty low, maybe 50% or 40%. That tends to suggest that he's only going to c-bet when he connects with the flop in some way. So if he checks to us, we can probably take it down. And I think that could argue for limping here. Sorry, not limping, for calling his bet. Would raising be a little bit better? Maybe. Gives us initiative. I'm sure raise would buy the button. I think just calling is going to buy us the button here versus this villain. But we have the small blind who's playing 89-26. very loose over 19 hands. I think he's going to probably call. Now, if we raise, it's possible that he still calls, or perhaps a raise is going to get him to fold. Same thing with the big blind. So if by just calling here, he's probably going to call, and that means the big blind is going to probably call, and then we're going to go 4-way with 7-6. I think that's okay with 7-6. It's not okay if we had something, let's say, like a king queen or an ace queen hand that would much prefer to go up heads up. So I think calling could be okay here. And surprisingly, they all fold. So the flop comes down 10 of hearts, 8 of clubs, and 6 of clubs. He's got 28 big blinds. Pot is 7.4. He bets 3, so he bets about half pot. We have bottom pair and a gut shot. This hits our calling range much harder than pre-flop raising range. So what is he going to c-bet? Well, I think a lot of players are just going to c-bet basically most of their pairs, their flush draws, probably their gut shots. Not all of their overcards, I don't think. Let's say he bets his aces. Okay. Okay. Let's get these selected. All right, so that should have worked. Right? Take those out. That's better. That's better. Okay, so maybe like that. We're at 48% equity. Should we raise? I think if we raise, what is it? What's gonna fold? So I kind of think that flush draw is gonna fold. Will call, but I kind of think the gut shots are gonna fold at this point. The overcards might actually fold. Flush draws will probably call. I think these pairs are gonna fold. Top pair plus is gonna call. So I think we went from like 80% down to 36%. So 36% out of 80. It's looking like continuing 45%, which means he's folding 45%. So yeah, I kind of think raising here might actually be preferable. And the question is, how much should we raise here? 3 times should get the job done. I'm okay with that raise. We could have probably gone a little bit larger, maybe up to 12, to try to get more fold equity. But I think 9's okay. So he calls, and I'm going to say he's calling with that range. And then the 7 comes out. And now that gives us 2 pairs, which is actually pretty decent. He's going to check, and it's it's to us. So I think if I bet, he's still going to call with all of his flushes. Still think he's calling with all of his flushes. I think he's probably going to call top pair plus. Would he have raised sets? I don't think so. I think now is going to be the time where he raises, but again, with 4 to a straight on the board, I don't think he's going to raise at all. So I think that's. I think he'll only raise if he has the 9. So I think if I bet, he's going to call. We're at 61%. I do think the bet's going to be favored. I think if we check, it's still we're giving him a free card to beat us, and he's gonna basically see the same with the same range as if we check. So it's kind of at the point where he's gonna call with basically everything. So I'm okay with the betting and getting him to call, and then the ace of clubs comes out and he shows trip tens. Um, so we lost the trips. Um, we kind of make a note. When we look at his ranges at this spot, um, he does have Jack 10, he does have Ace 10, and he has the clubs. So I do think he would have called with the clubs, and that's why I think when he shows up with the tens, we just mark it off as saying, okay, well he had trips. We got unlucky that time. Should we have even been in the hand? Again, as we said pre-flop, I think we were justified in folding. I think we're justified in calling because I think with calling we're expecting to get a couple more players to build up our pot to make it more profitable for us to chase that straight. But if we folded, I think I'm okay with folding. So we did hit the same. We had a set in his range, so I'm gonna say we did okay. All right, so hopefully you enjoyed this hand. Look tomorrow for a couple more hands.